I have been working so hard in and around my house the past couple of days. Now I just want to relax and unwind with some spinning. Got inspired by this, which is a bat of Dutch spotted sheep mixed with bayardin, which is synthetic fiber, but in this very, Shigo green. And I want to do something with it. I want to do something fun with it. So I grabbed my spinner's book of yarn design and looked for something fun. Today, to unwind from all the housework that I have been doing, I want to make a bubble crepe yarn. That just sounds fun. I want this Shigo bat. Millennials, this is the villain from Kim Possible in bat form, right? You see what I'm seeing. I want that to be the bubble, and then I want this white campus sheep, campus schaap, to be like the two plies that go around it. If you are new in this corner of the internet, then maybe fair warning. This is not a tutorial on how to do bubble crepe yarn, which does not mean that you might not learn anything from it, but it does mean that I am more a vibes-based spinner, see also Chaos Goblin, and that there will be tangents and there will be side quests. This is a vlog of me doing it. The spinning. I mean, get your mind out of the gutter. Step 1, Kim Possible Nemesis into a slightly thicker yarn. Or well, thicker than I am used to spinning. So I have put my majacraft Suzie on her slowest ratio. I feel like thicker singles are always a little bit harder to spin consistently, at least that's for me, because the difference in like super mini millimeters when you're spinning a thin yarn is just not as noticeable, while when you go just a millimeter thinner on a thicker yarn, you will notice. Or is it just me and my combination of both chaos and perfectionism in my brain? This spotted sheep bayardin bat also has a story of its own. I think it's a rather lovely story, or at least I have fond memories of it. Almost 2 years ago now, so it was July 2024, I was at Wolspectakel in Kerkrade in the Netherlands, where I was meeting up with some friends. And we were just sitting there at a table, spinning away, each on our own spindle. Now, right across from us was a stall, a market stall of, well, if you're Dutch, you know who I mean, André from the Wolkelder, and he was giving a demonstration of one of the drum carders that he was selling. He saw us spinning there, and well, I think he is a really good marketeer. He started to give us the bats that he was making on his drum carder, like for free, just putting them on the table and having us spin them. So all of a sudden, we were part of his marketing ploy, because we were now, well, effortlessly spinning the bats that he was creating on that drum carder that he was trying to sell. Everybody happy. Intently spinning, the soothing pitter-patter of rain on my roof, but I do think there is one thing missing. A nice cuppa. Pure wellness now. And much cheaper than a sauna. We have our first bobbin of singles accounted for. Not like particularly thick singles, but this is thicker than I am used to spinning, so I'm happy with that. I shall now commence spinning a little bit thinner than I am used to spinning, and then I think this bubble crepe will bubble and crepe. Now, speaking of bubble and crepe, let's make some lunch. Let's make some crepes for lunch, or pannenkoeken, flensjes, all that good Flemish stuff. For crepes, I just mostly eyeball my ingredients until I have something that has the right consistency. Seems about right. I am an eldest child at home, and you know what they say about eldest childs, that they are quite a bit like the first pancake. Perfect from the start. Now I know some of you all are curieuze-nosed mosterdpotten, curious-nosed mustard jars, and have spotted the paint stains on my hands. I would now like to know what I have been painting, of course. How much do I love the color yellow? Yes. And we also said nope against the dope of our entryway. Now that we're all energized and caught up, let's get back to the spinning. So much like my questionable cooking methods, I also just eyeballed how much of this thin yarn I needed to get approximately as much as a thick yarn. I don't know, I'm going to ply them together. As per the instructions of the book, I spun both my singles as twist, and we're now going to do a Z-twist ply. I'm also going to give my ply like double the amount of twist that I would normally do. I mean, just about eyeballing it, of course. What is double as much twist? I don't know. I'm a vibes-based spinner, like treadles per inch. Yeah, stay away. I go by vibes only. I'm actually pretty certain that this yarn would probably look a lot better if I made my first singles a lot thicker and juicier. There is quite a bit of a difference between the first and second singles when it comes to diameter, but maybe not quite enough. We shall see in the end. Anyway, for me, spinning is a lot more about the fun and the feeling than it is about the end result. So this is also why I am not really a specifically scientific spinner, that I go more for the vibes, because I just want to have fun. I just want to have fun. I didn't do too shabby of a job eyeballing. This is what I have left over of my thin S-plied single. Now we're going to make a thin Z-plied single. Also, thank you for the approximately dozen comments that showed me or told me that I can treadle this off. Thank you. It is much faster indeed. If all goes as planned, then applying these two together again would result in the fact that this yarn will now transform into a beautiful yarn, very reminiscent of vintage rickrack trim. And you know I love anything reminiscent of anything vintage. So fingers crossed that this works. In any case, I do love how this yarn is looking already. Like the color scheme is really fun. And I think adding a little bit of extra white will make it more fun. And yeah, that's what we want. I'm not sure about it. It looks almost like I'm making a blanket stitch instead of a ply. Maybe let's ply like. Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe I do see what we are getting at. Okay, I'm seeing it, I'm seeing the vision. You know, growing up, I of course watched the Dutch version of Kim Possible. Yes, I am still here with the Shigo references because it still says to my brain, black and green is Shigo. Anyway, what I was saying is that of course I grew up with the Dutch version and it took me a shameful amount of time to finally get the pun behind Ron Stoppable's name, because when you say it in Dutch, it is Ron Stoppable. And you know, Dutch surnames have a history of sometimes being a little bit weird. And I was just on with the story that Stoppable was a Dutch surname. And I'm also pretty certain that there are other puns completely missed because I grew up speaking Dutch instead of English. I should have been counting though, instead of talking. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 46. So there is that rickrack effect going on in my yarn, just it's pretty subtle. As I had predicted myself during the first plying stage, this would probably have been a lot more clearer with a thicker singles. But I did manage to spin a bubble crepe. In essence, it's just that it would have been more bubbly if the black-green singles was thicker and juicier. Like you really see the difference between here where the yarn is more S-bandy, and this one is where it is also a lot thicker. So next time, if I'm going to try this, a much thicker singles is needed. Now, what I was saying earlier about the blanket stitch. That's what I was talking about. It looks like one of my plies is just going straight down the middle. That's weird. That is not what we were aiming for. All in all though, I had a lot of fun trying out a new spinning technique, this bubble crepe. Some parts are really cool and really interesting, and I think this would shine the most if I tried weaving with it. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, just as I said, there are some really cool bits in it. I do want to try this again, but with a thicker single. But all in all, I would say it's not too shabby for my first time. So no, this isn't too shabby for my first bubble crepe yarn, but you know, I'm not blind. This is not a great yarn either, like, not too shabby is the right word for it. And yet, here you are, watching a video about it. Yes, yes you are. I am making a video about a not too shabby yarn, about making a not too shabby yarn. And I have said this in a couple of videos already. I actually think it's really important that these not too shabby yarns get shown on the internet as well. There is already so much pressure on performing and being perfect in our society. What I want to achieve with my videos, and if there is one thing that I want you to learn from this video in particular, it is not how to make a bubble crepe yarn, for as you can see, I do not have the credentials for it. But what I do want you to take away from this video and all other videos in which I have said it, and also the ones in which I haven't said it, is that there is no level required to be proud of your craft. There is no level of proficiency required to be able to show off what you did. I made this with my hands, with my human goblin-y grabby hands. This is real, this is not AI. And I am going to show it off in all of its realness, especially as someone who has a little bit of a platform online to show the world, to show you. Maybe you also have those brain weasels somewhere, you know, located exactly right on this pot that tell you that everything has to be perfect or it isn't worth anything. Stop it. No, we are going to create human stuff. And human stuff is trial and error. Humans still have the capability of doing something for the very first time and learning from it and becoming actually better at art. My yarns will not become more and more urine yellow. And that is why I thank you for watching until the end of this video of this very not too shabby Shigo inspired yarn. More humans on the internet should just make not shabby things, right? This was a fun break from all of my housework duties, all the painting that I have been doing, which took me approximately the same amount of time that my hallway needs drying before I can paint the final coat. I just had a fun afternoon experimenting with a new spinning technique, one that I will for certain try again, because the effect that it gives, even though it is very subtle on my yarn, I like. It's something, yeah, I want more of it. And a juicier one as well. Do let me know, is this something that you have tried before? This bubble crepe, or maybe is it something that you would love to try? And anyway, call me, beep me if you want to reach me. And if you like this kind of Fiverr shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe. But of course that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in the next video. But before we do that, maybe you could look at some more spinning shenanigans. Bye!